What is going on, everybody? Today I will be talking about 5 reasons I think Alabama can beat Michigan in the College Football Playoff Rose Bowl. I've enjoyed making these playoff videos, and I just made a video yesterday on 5 reasons I think Michigan can beat Alabama, but now I want to talk about 5 reasons I think Alabama can beat Michigan. And then the next couple days I will do the same thing for the Sugar Bowl between Washington and Texas, which is also a college football playoff game. This playoff has a chance to be one of the best playoffs of the 4-team era. So it's definitely going to be one we will not forget because it is the last 14 playoff, and I really do think it's open for any of the 4 teams to win it this year. But starting next year, we will be heading into a new era of college football with the 12-team playoff starting. So I'm definitely excited. But before I get into this video, let me remind you guys to like the video and also subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you never miss an upload. And if you guys love college football, then this is definitely the channel for you because we post a ton on this channel. And I have big things planned for the year 2024 and for the college football offseason. So be sure to tune in every day for more uploads. But I hope everybody is excited for the new year and be sure to set new goals for 2024. But without further ado, let's give 5 reasons on why I think Alabama can beat Michigan. And the first reason is probably the most obvious reason, but no other team really has a coach like Nick Saban in this 4-team playoff. Nick Saban has won 7 national championships, and the other coaches have not won a national championship at the FBS level, and they haven't even made a national championship. And in the 14 playoff era, Alabama is the only team to make a national championship. But they weren't just the only team to make it, but they've actually won it multiple times. And they are probably the greatest college football team of all time. So there's no denying Nick Saban is the most experienced coach here. But they will be the underdogs against Michigan, who is the number 1 team in the country. And Nick Saban is actually 8-2 when playing teams who are ranked to number 1. And Nick Saban hardly loses as the underdog. But on paper, you could look at Michigan and Alabama, and you could possibly say Michigan is the more complete team. Some people will say J.J. McCarthy is the better quarterback than Jalen Milroe, but I think that's debatable. And then some people will probably say Michigan has the better defense, which is probably true. But we do not know that, and that's why the games will be played. Alabama has the better coach in this game, and they will be ready to play in this game. And you better believe that when they have a coach like Nick Saban, they will do whatever it takes to win the game. And it is going to be a game of chess. And Nick Saban will do whatever it takes to get back to the national championship and be back on top of college football. But that's what makes this game even more interesting. These are 2 teams who may be backed into a corner with a lot to prove. And I know you could say Alabama really doesn't have much more to prove because they've already won 7 national champions. But they're trying to get their way back on top. And you would have to believe Nick Saban sets his standards high. And Alabama is trying to prove they are the best. And Michigan is trying to finally win a playoff game and prove everybody that this team is different. It should definitely be interesting, but head coach Nick Saban should play a factor in this game. And you'd have to believe Alabama does have the better coach in this game, because honestly, who here thinks Jim Harbaugh is a better coach than Nick Saban? But the second reason I think Alabama can beat Michigan, it's because of quarterback Jalen Milroe. Is he the better quarterback? I don't know. Michigan and Alabama both play in different systems, and Michigan is more run heavy. But Jalen Milroe still has the better stats all around than J.J. McCarthy. The only thing J.J. McCarthy really beats Jalen Milroe in is his completion percentage and his QBR rating. I'm not saying Jalen Milroe is better, but I'm definitely saying that there is a debate. And Jalen Milroe may be better. But these are both 2 decent quarterbacks, and Jalen Milroe can really run the ball well and get that Michigan defense confused if he wants to. And then out of nowhere, he could drop a dart for a long bomb, and you could have a touchdown scored on your head. That's the factor Jalen Milroe can play. Jalen Milroe can really do a bit of everything, but he's been a really good deep passer this year, and he gets better every single week. And at the start of the season, we didn't know how good Milroe would actually be, but he really stepped up for this Alabama team when they needed him. And Alabama football had some question marks at the start of this season, but there's no more question marks anymore because Alabama is back in the playoffs. And if you look at Michigan, Michigan has actually struggled in their pass defense when they played a solid quarterback. I mean, go back and look at that game against Maryland, because let's not forget, Michigan gave up 250 yards to Tualia Tagovailoa, who was Maryland's quarterback, and Tualia had crucial mistakes that cost Maryland the game. Otherwise, Michigan would probably have 1 loss right now. But ultimately, Michigan did end up winning the game, and the best teams will win the game when it matters. But I've said it before, and I'll say it again. If Michigan plays a really good passing offense, that is a good all-around team, they might crumble, because they haven't really played any good quarterbacks all year. I mean, even Kyle McCord threw for almost 300 yards on them. But I've seen some red flags in that secondary, so I definitely expect Jalen Milroe to attack the secondary of Michigan, and his legs can also play a factor running the ball. But there's no denying Michigan is very, very hard to run the ball on, and their front 7 is tough. But Alabama has passed the ball really well, and Michigan has not played any great passing teams. But we'll see what happens. But all I'm saying is watch out for Jalen Milroe, and do not underestimate the kid, because he's not perfect, but he can make the plays, and he's really athletic. The third reason I think Alabama could beat Michigan is because they've already proved that they are legit and they are a scary team when they beat Georgia. There were some questions about this Alabama team all year, and I already mentioned that. But not that many people expected them to be here. I'm sure there were some that guessed Alabama would make it here, and good job to you guys, because it is Alabama. But I thought Georgia was going to beat Alabama, I'm not going to lie. Because watching Alabama this year, they had some questionable games. I mean, look at the game against Auburn. But they stepped up when it mattered the most, against Georgia. And Alabama has been getting better and better all season. So I definitely think they do belong here. And like I said, really anything is possible when you have a coach like Nick Saban. But when they played Georgia, they basically controlled the line of scrimmage. And nobody has been able to do that against Georgia in a long time. Georgia was back-to-back national champions with a win streak in like the high 20s. I forgot the number. But Alabama walked in and showed who the real dogs were in that game. And they fought until the end. And they showed why they're a legit team, despite the game they had against Auburn. And it wasn't just Auburn. I mean, they had a close game against Arkansas, a close game against Texas A&M. They had a very bad game against South Florida at the start of the season, and they lost to Texas. But Alabama held that Georgia rushing attack to under 100 yards, and that is not easy to do. So Alabama is definitely ready for this spotlight. And the battle up front between Alabama and Michigan will be fun to see. But the fourth reason I think they can beat Michigan is because of their defense. Like I said, they held Georgia to under 100 rushing yards, and they were the only team that forced a turnover in that game, and ultimately that may have helped them win that game. And Alabama has been one of the best teams all year at forcing turnovers. And they proved that their defense was legit when they beat Georgia. And Georgia has a really good offense this year. I don't know if Alabama has the better defense than Michigan, but that's why this game will be played. But they have guys on that defense who can really make it tough for Michigan. Many really good edge rushers who can pressure J.J. McCarthy. Guys like Dallas Turner who have sacked the quarterback 9 times and forced 2 fumbles. And also Chris Braswell who has sacked the quarterback 8 times with 3 forced fumbles and 1 interception. The list goes on. And they are one of the best teams at getting pressure to the quarterback in the country. They are good at basically everything on defense. And I don't think this Alabama defense is talked about enough this year. And one part that may stand out as the weakest part of their defense may be their pass defense. I would definitely say it's not bad, but if Michigan wants a chance, they might have to pass the ball more. But like I said, Michigan is a run-heavy team, and it will be tough to stop Blake Corum and that rushing attack of Michigan. But they did it against Georgia, so Michigan might have to turn to passing the ball, and they haven't really done that all year. And do not be surprised if quarterback J.J. McCarthy for Michigan has some turnovers in this game if he's forced to pass the ball a lot. Alabama's secondary isn't all that bad, but Michigan will probably have to attack that part of the defense, because it might just be the weakest part of Alabama's defense. But the strength of Michigan's offense is definitely their run game. But that's what makes this postseason even more interesting. Everybody has some weaknesses, and they've had their fair share of bad games. But this game between Michigan and Alabama can go many ways, so it should definitely be awesome. But for the last reason I think Alabama can win the national championship, it's because they have a lot of advantages in this game. And I wanted to talk about why they do have advantages in this game. And some people may say what I'm about to say doesn't matter. But if you look at the history of these teams' playoff success, you'd have to think Alabama is the safe bet to win this game. I get it. Michigan may look like the more complete team this year. But how do we know they will actually deliver in the playoffs when they already lost twice in the playoffs after being hyped up just like they were this year? And they're also 0-2 in bowl games against the SEC in recent memory. And they cannot seem to win the big postseason games. But on the other hand, they are playing a very motivated Alabama team. And like I said, Nick Saban is scary when he's an underdog. And there's a reason a lot of money is going on Alabama as the underdogs. Because honestly, if you ask me, it doesn't feel right for Michigan to be the favorites in this game. But maybe, just maybe, Michigan will finally prove everybody wrong. But people say past success doesn't matter. But honestly, if you ask me, it does. Yes, Michigan may be the better team this year, but we don't know that yet. And that's why these games are played. But is it just a coincidence that Alabama always find ways to be at the top, even after being doubted this year? They repeat their history of success and have won many national titles, and a big part of that is Nick Saban. And another example of what I'm talking about is Nick Saban's record against Kirby Smart. A lot of people are saying it's Georgia's time and Alabama's time is up, but Alabama has basically owned Georgia outside the one national championship loss to Georgia a few years ago. Nick Saban always beats Kirby Smart, and past results obviously matter, because Jim Harbaugh and Michigan have lost a lot of bowl games, and they lose the big postseason games. And this is not TCU they will be playing this year. And this is Alabama they will be playing, who was led by one of the greatest coaches to ever exist. This is not biased. This is honesty. And I'm not even an Alabama fan, but let's be real. It's Alabama. And is Alabama really going to lose this game to Michigan? I don't know. It should be a fantastic game. And I wouldn't be surprised if Michigan did win, but I wouldn't be surprised if Alabama won either. I see this game going either way, but the safe choice may just be Alabama. And their past success doesn't lie. And they're coming off a win against Georgia, who was the #1 ranked team in the country. So you'd have to believe that Alabama is going to be motivated going into this game, playing the #1 ranked team again. But anyways, that is going to do it for the video. Be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel, and also turn on notifications so you never miss an upload. And if you guys love college football, then this is definitely the channel for you, because we post a ton on this channel. But happy holidays everyone, and peace out.